Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all my Heraldic Beasts Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for post-Ignition Assault. Wanted to focus on the 3 Zexal decks that got support in the newest Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster Pack, being Heraldic Beasts, Gimmick Puppets, and Chronomalies. They received new spell support and monsters for the decks, so I figured updates for all 3 was due. So I figured I'd start off with Heraldic Beasts, a deck that focuses on summoning out a bunch of different Heraldic Beast number monsters from the extra deck, all focusing on the rank 4 plays you can do with the deck, and then overall just have a very strong engine to use for a bunch of other different Xyz summons, and also very useful when you're not limited with your special summons for some of the link plays you can do as well, just being able to easily summon out these monsters from the graveyard and deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for the monsters, I run 3 Heraldic Beasts Leo, just being a great setup for monsters in the graveyard for your search. During the end phase of the turn, this card was normal summon, destroy this card. When this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add 1 Heraldic Beast monster from your deck to your hand, except Heraldic Beast Leo. You can only use this effect of Leo once per turn, but it's got 2,000 attack, being a pretty powerful monster, and then also having that search effect definitely does come in handy just for the overall fact that it just has to be sent to the graveyard to get that search. Doesn't have to be on the field either, so that's very useful. And just when you have this set up for this, you'll always have monsters to use for your plays later on with the deck as well. One of these easy monsters to set up is Heraldic Beasts Amphisbaena, I believe is how you pronounce the name. With this one, you can discard 1 other Heraldic Beast monster to special summon this card from your hand. Once per turn, you can discard 1 Heraldic Beast monster. This card gains 800 attack till the end of this turn. It helps if you need to get over a monster, and let's say you're locked out of the extra deck, for example. Being 2,500 attack can swing over a good amount of cards. I remember one time I was able to swing over, even after not being able to special summon this card, I was just able to get the 800 boost to attack over a Majesty's Fiend and then get my special summon back, which was very, very useful. But the fact that you can easily special summon this card and then set up other cards in the graveyard is another added boost for sure in the deck. And I also run 3 Heraldic Beasts Aberconway. With this one, if this card is in the graveyard, you can banish another Heraldic Beast Aberconway from your graveyard to target 1 Heraldic Beast monster in your graveyard. Add that target to your hand. You can only use this effect of Aberconway once per turn. So the add back comes in handy for some of the more easy to special summon Heraldic Beast monsters. I like a lot of the 3-ofs in the deck just for the consistency to always have at least 2 in your hand to special summon out to the field. So this one's another very useful one at that. But for more of the special summon option, I run 3 Heraldic Beast Eel, or EL, I believe. With this one, it is very useful because for our number 69 Heraldry Crest, you need 3 level 4 monsters to make it. So with this one, if you control 2 or more Heraldic Beast monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. Just being an easy special summon gives us the 3rd monster for that Xyz summon. The other one's just requiring 2 Heraldic Beast monsters to summon them out. So having this option for this card definitely does come in handy for the special summon, and once again, just sticking to the 3-ofs for everything so far, so you have enough cards to go for your plays. And also, to finish off the Heraldic Beast monsters, I run 3 Heraldic Beast Unicorn. You can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 Psychic type Xyz monster in your graveyard, special summon it, but its effects are negated. You can only use this effect of Heraldic Beast Unicorn once per turn. So after you set this card up with the Xyz play and have it in your graveyard, it just gives you another special summon onto the field for more resources to go off of. Their effect may be negated, but having that extra monster after this card's in the graveyard for the banish gives you use of your Xyz monsters after you summon them back out to the field. And then you can use them for, let's say, link plays, which is a lot more useful than from before when this card, didn't have that option. Since we only had the Exceed plays to go for, you can also have tried, like a rank up play if you use cards like number 69 to go into number Chaos 69. But, that's just another option you can go for with the deck also. And then to finish off the monsters, I just run a small Ash Blossom hand trap lineup. I was considering taking this out. I'll show what spots I would take out for the Ash Blossom to put in a couple other spells if you wished in the deck as that added backup option. But again, that's just up to the player at that point, depending on what cards they want to use also in the deck. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Augmented Heraldry. This is the field spell in the deck. It's very, very useful because it's one of the best searchers we have going for the deck also. Psychic type Exceed monsters on the field cannot be targeted by spell or trap effects. And once per turn, you can discard 1 Heraldic Beast monster to add 1 Heraldry spell or trap from your deck to your hand, except Augmented Heraldry. You cannot normal summon or special summon monsters during the turn you activate this effect, except Psychic type Exceed monsters and Heraldic Beast monsters, even if this card leaves the field. So that summon doesn't really limit you as much with the exceeds we can do in the deck, and the protection effect for those monsters is another added bonus, but also being able to search out all the different heraldry spells and traps we run in the deck, mostly just being the spells, obviously, but is another added bonus. But also the terraforming for the extra search. I do like running 3 of this field spell just for the fact that it is a search field spell, so it can quickly go through a bunch of other different cards in the deck. It can't search out itself, so remember that also, but you want to have that option, so 3 of it, and the terraforming is definitely needed, I would say, so you always have that search option available. And one of the cards you can search, and another very useful one in the deck, is Heraldry Reborn. You target one Heraldic Beast monster in your graveyard and special summon it. Once again, you can go for an Exceed monster if you don't have any other targets, but just being able to have one monster to help for that special summon definitely does give you options. It also doesn't negate the effect of the monster, which is very, very useful. So having that to go off of is definitely a plus, and definitely 3 of this card. And the fact that it's searchable with your field spell is another added bonus as well. Now, I only have 2 advanced heraldry art. If you wanted to run 3 of this card, you can try taking out one of the Ash Blossoms for the final spot for the 3rd one of this, and then the other Ash Blossom spot you can take out for another card would be Foolish Burial, just being able to set up some other Heraldic Beast monsters from your deck in the graveyard. But with advanced heraldry art, you target 2 Heraldic Beast monsters in your graveyard, special summon both those targets. Immediately after this effect resolves, Exceed summon one Exceed monster using those 2 monsters. And it doesn't have to be a Heraldic Beast monster. You can even go for just some other type of Exceed monster, as long as you're not limited to what you can summon out with some of your other cards you run in the deck. So remember it with this card, but very, very useful for that special summon. I would say it would be even better if you weren't limited to the Exceed summon you have to do after you special summon those cards, but another searchable card and very useful for your Exceed summon. Like I said, if it limited us to just the Heraldic Beast monsters, I would say it wasn't as good, but the fact that you can go for any Exceed definitely does come in handy. And I am running 3 of the new spell card, which is Charged Up Heraldry. Tribute 1 monster to special summon 2 Heraldic Beast monsters from your deck in defense position. Also, you cannot special summon monsters from your extra deck for the rest of this turn after this card resolves, except Psychic or Machine monsters. And you can only activate 1 Charged Up Heraldry per turn. So the Machine monster effect limitation doesn't come up as often, but you still have the other option for your Psychic monsters, which are your Heraldic, Exceed monsters to go into, since they are all Psychic also. And just having an easy special summon from the deck helps to sift out the deck of some other cards and get the important Heraldic monsters just by tributing another one onto the field. And setting up the one you tributed in the graveyard is another added bonus also. And I also run 2 Pot of Desires. This is just another great way to get extra cards in your hand to use for resources. And we run 3 of all the Heraldic Beast monsters, so even if you banish a couple with this card, you should still have enough plays to go off of with the cards you draw, or the ones you already opened up with at the beginning of the duel if you started off with Pot of Desires in your hand. If not, you can use cards like Charged Up Heraldry to sift through the deck, and then go through other cards and draw ones you definitely need more to help assist with the other plays you do in the deck. And I also run the 1 Monster Reborn along with the Heraldry Reborn, just another easy special summon of cards, whether it be ones in your graveyard or your opponent's graveyard. And to finish off these spells, 3 Call by the Grave. Still really do like this card since you do special summon a lot, and the obvious new spell, Charged Up Heraldry, can easily be Ash Blossom by your opponent, so having this hand trap to stop that is another added bonus. And then for the traps, I'm only running a small Solemn lineup, so 3 Solemn Strike, the 1 Warning, and the 1 Solemn Judgment. I thought of going for the Call of the Haunted play that you can do, but you have plenty of special summon options already with this deck. You don't really need the Call of the Haunted. The spells are more than enough to get resources back and summoned out to the field, so I figured just a little more protection with cards like Solemn Judgment, Warning, and Strike definitely do help, since you don't really use life points for anything else in the deck. It's just all free special summons from the graveyard to the field or your deck without having to pay any life points. So 5 of these definitely does help just for a little more protection for your cards. And that is it for the main deck. We'll now move on to the extra deck. I run 1 number 8 Heraldic King Gem Gnome Heritage. You need 2 level 4 Heraldic Beast monsters to make it. It's not as useful. The Heraldic monsters definitely do all have a theme, being working against other Exceed monsters in the deck. So if you go up against other Exceed decks, this one definitely does take the cake as being able to, definitely put in a punch against that type of deck you're going up against. Once per turn, you can target 1 face-up Exceed monster your opponent controls. This card's name and original attack become that monster's name and current current attack, and this card's effect becomes that monster's original effect. Then that monster's attack becomes 0, and its effects are negated. These changes last until the end phase. So you were able to copy other Exceed monsters. I would say definitely more viable when, Exceeds were the big play you could do during the meta, but since we have Link monsters, Pendulums, you name it, after Exceeds, it doesn't happen as often, but still like to have that special summon option to go for it. It's a 2400 attack point Exceed monster, just needing 2 Heraldic Beast monsters to make it. And I run 2 number 18 Heraldry Patriarch. With this one, you once per turn during either player's turn, if one or more monsters with the same name are on the field, you can detach 1 Exceed material from this card, choose 1 monster among those with the same name, and destroy all other monsters with that name. And while this card remains face up on the field, your opponent cannot summon monsters with the same name as any of the number of monsters chosen with this card's effect. Also, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target 1 Heraldic Beast monster in your deck to your graveyard. So just more send options for setup of other plays. The same name can help just against going up against multiple other names, but just another easy Exceed monster to go for. And then one of the other boss ones is number 69, Heraldry Crest. When this card is special summon, negate the effects of all our face-up Exceed monsters currently on the field, and you can target 1 other face-up Exceed monster on the field until the end of this turn. That card's name and original effect become the name of that monster, and you can use this effect of number 69 once per turn. Just a really good option to go for. But like I said, the Heraldic Beast monsters focus on the overall play to go with stopping your opponent's Exceed monsters, so that's the main focus of the deck. Still a very fun one for sure. For some of the other generic Exceeds, you can run around 1 Dark Rebellion, 1 number 39 Utopia, and 1 Utopia the Lightning, 1 number 41 Baguska, and 1 Tornado Dragon. And still having the Link option plays, I run 1 Barricade Board Blocker for the field spell, Recycle obviously, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Cross Sheet. I really do like this card more and more, and with the Exceed play, just having the immediate effect of the lose 700 attack is another added bonus, and the 1 Boral Sword as a more boss monster backup for the deck also. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and still definitely focusing on building a new deck for Gimmick Puppets and Chronomaly as well, so definitely look forward to those. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.